Order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everybody for joining us for the March 18th, 2024 Credit River City Council meeting. We will begin with approving or amending the agenda. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda they'd like to make?
Should we allow the sheriff report to go later?
That's a great idea. Thank you for doing that one. Well, we will move the sheriff's report down to number 5 presentations to allow the sheriff to show up. And then make sure everybody gives him a little bit of grief when he gets here. So no. Must be busy. All right, we got the one change. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'd like to add mowing, talk about a mowing contract
Okay,
and talk about a workshop.
so we'll add 7.3 for mowing. And then we'll put your other item as 7.4. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda with the 2 changes.
So move.
Thank you, Jay.
Second.
Thank you, Leroy. A motion and a second to approve the agenda with 2 changes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda which are considered routine or non-controversial are included as part of the consent agenda. Unless a council member specifically requests that an item on the consent agenda be removed and considered separately, items on the consent agenda are considered under one motion, a second, and a vote. Any item removed from the consent agenda shall be placed at the end of general business. Tonight on the consent agenda, we've got the March 6th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes. We've 3.2 is accept the resignation of city clerk and authorize advertising for the position. 3.3 is approval of the hire of an accounting technician. 3.4 resolution 2024-11 extension of the preliminary plat for the ranch of Credit River, 2nd edition. 3.5 approve invoice for Collins Tree, and 3.6 action regarding waiver of statutory limits on liability claims. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull from the consent agenda? Otherwise, I will take a motion to approve.
So moved.
I was wondering if we could pull the city clerk one.
Okay, we'll move that to 7.5. There's no other changes. I would take a motion.
So
All right, Jay,
I'll second.
Leroy. We got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the 1 removal. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Open forum. The public forum is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address the concerns to the council. The public forum will be no longer than 30 minutes in length, and each presenter will have no more than 5 minutes to speak. Topics of discussion are restricted to local governmental topics rather than private or political agendas. The council may discuss but will not take formal action on public forum presentations. So we've got 2 people on open forum tonight. I've got Sally and is it Greer? Oh, you're not. Oh, okay. You just happened to sign in. Okay. So you really didn't want to. All right. Tina, then you're up. You're it. They just signed up. They didn't know why.
you're right.
All right, thank you. Cedar, Michigan, 16331 Creekwood Drive. And I can sign later. Well, I spoke last open forum and I just wanted to, I spoke on the bills. But what wasn't in the notes was that I spoke of a vision statement. So I just want to put that in the record again. And I stole Bill's, so I'll give this back to Bill.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you, Kathy, because I know you said you're working on it, and you'll be getting the community involved too and input. So that's all I have. I
Right,
just wanted in the record.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. All right, anybody else for open forum tonight? Seeing none, we'll close open forum. Steve, anything from Luke?
Yeah, just.
Oh. If you want to, yeah. Kathy, you have the presentation, right? Perfect. Sounds good. Is
Steve, I
that,
think you'll have to turn that back on again.
yeah, hold that square button until the green light comes on there. There you go. We can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Collins, and I'm the operations captain of the sheriff's office. So, the staff that work out here, the sheriff is indisposed. He's on his way. Just texted me. He's watching the speed limit because we're staff between here and there. That could be embarrassing. It's happening. Full disclosure. I'm gonna do my best to pitch it for him, but I don't pretend to have all the knowledge he does. So, you go ahead and pass. So, I'll leave that part for Luke to talk about himself. Right there, so Sheriff Henning, Chief Deputy Fury, Captain Scott Redkey, many of you may not have ever known him, he runs the jail operations. He handles that part, which is our largest division, the Sheriff's Office. Captain Phil Meraki runs Support Services Division, that will be our detectives, our civil service, and port security deputies. And Captain Scott Haas is emergency management director and also the communications captain, so dispatch, and then myself, operations. That's basically the long and short of what we do. So if you turn your head side, see those four, underneath. So if you go down a few levels, you'll see 4 blocks. And all of the staff members I just spoke about are within those blocks. We have a wealth of programs that you all have access to due to our contract, which you've always had. So we have crime scene analysts, we have the investigators, and all that came to play here a couple of weeks ago in your city. We talk about the contract that we have. There are 2 deputies out here, 80 hours a week. But we cover here 24/7, 365, and that is what you get. Does anybody have any specific questions about our organizational chart? Who we are? I promise I won't go through each one of these. So our core values, our mission, vision, and goals. Sheriff takes those 4 topics very seriously. And every day we try to impress upon our staff the importance of them. Our staff members have had a hand in developing all of those as well. I remember when I got here 24 years ago, the mission statement may have been a little bit different, but it's always being refined. And as employees at Scott County, we always have a hand in that work with the tanks. So I call that, but you gotta scroll back, sorry, I'm Irish, I don't know how that functions. I think of that as our new jail or our new facility is actually, gosh, 20 years old now. We've been there in 2004, 2005. Keep going, that's what a cell block looks like, if you've never seen one, have volunteers. So our service area, as you can see, we provide services throughout the county in all of the cities and townships. Specifically, our patrol division, our operations division, works in the unincorporated areas of Scott County, as well as the city of Kerr. So contract policing, there's our 2 latest deputies. Deputy Pearson's been on here for a year and a half now. And Deputy Smith is new, and she's very much enjoying herself as well. Been able to meet Kathy.
No, she hasn't been able to be here yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she just turned over to the first part of the week shift, and I think April she'll be here for the introduction to council in the city.
Yeah, I think I saw Pearson today hiding on 21, so. Yeah, pointed at me when I drove by. I might have been a little.
Won't be long, the leaves will be out, he'll have his favorite Trees, you know.
So John McKenzie, work, specifically in credit, they spend all their time here unless they're trained. They do have the ability to work outside shifts if they work overtime shifts or if they work an event, things like that. Otherwise, the basic 40-hour work week is here in the city. of Fairburn. Stats. So our statistics have been fairly flat, not too much of a change. You see a little up and down there. With the recent events we've had, but otherwise, nothing out of the ordinary. So one thing that we started working on. This is my boss, Sheriff Bennett.
Party at Spring Lake Town Ted with corn through Walski County.
You did, huh?
Okay.
Okay.
Community meeting.
Did you give them a warning?
So what this slide here denotes is, the number of calls that originate from, the public calling us and then the deputies doing things on their own. So, we take calls first and then we have, unrestricted patrol time second. So that's why I looks the way it does.
And Steve, maybe talk a little bit about that one. What kinds of calls would a deputy initiate on their own?
So obviously traffic will be a big one,
Mhm.
checking on stalled motorists, things like that. They see an open door where there shouldn't be an open door. Things of that nature. You know, driving around and notice something, you check on it. We ask that they document all of those incidents.
And one thing the reason we started looking at that, we went to this contract policing was as well, because put more officers in the community, the calls will change, the levels will change.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure we're not inflating those numbers and then also coming with different ways, so.
Yep.
And as you can see, so our top call for service here will be traffic or suspicion. Or alarms, I guess, last year.
Hmm.
That's suspicion.
Last 2 years alarms looked like they're about the same, 163, 164. 160, so that's pretty consistent, actually, alarms.
Very common call. for
Yeah.
us. And that's not just here in the city of Frederick, but that's
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yeah, very consistent across the other 10 townships too. You know, see crime is really high on that. Medicals are a big thing, alarms are a big.
Yeah.
thing, traffic stops, accidents, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
This one, so this is the data point we kind of picked about contracting. As a way to kind of measure when that deputy's working or how deputies are working versus when the other deputies in the townships are coming into River to handle calls. So after the first 2 years, we're seeing the 30%, and 22 is 38%. So back to, we pull off all the self-initiated activities just so that it's a skewy thing or a deputy working at the time,
Mhm.
coming in the community and stopping the car. So we saw that 38%, we added the second deputy here last year. And it averaged 52% last year. We're hoping to see a little higher than that, but that's kind of where it's at. And then we schedule the deputies too, based on call loads. We run some maps of the hour of the day, kind of see when the activity is and try to place that person in. But we know 2 deputies that work 10-hour shifts, so you're catching, kind of put a stab at 10 hours the early part of the day. And we try to match it up mainly with the traffic issues too, so trying to hit the morning, catch the evening rush, and then also just based on our other call loads, yeah, evening, heavy staff, and then also typically put the Red River contract every end of the day, knowing that evening calls come in. We may have 3-4 deputies working, in the other townships that come and take care of that activity.
So just to be clear, that top 52%, that is the contract deputies, so either John or Mackenzie are handling 52% of the calls that come in through dispatch.
Yes.
Right.
Yep, through dispatch, through calls, through.
Okay.
The alarm company calling.
Yep.
calling on one. And then the other piece, that the data doesn't parse out either is one crash may have 5 deputies coming through. Well, but if it happened during those hours, you're down to 1.
Yep.
We track it just by the calls that come in, but
Mhm.
you're track the time as well. So some of those are definitely multiple.
Right. Yep.
But at least kind of throw percentage of what you're paying us to come in and do, and then also the other townships, the rest of the city, sort of, probably sort of stuff being,
Mhm.
you know, overused and lost. That's kind of the one we're waiting to see how it would look, based on 1 year of progress there, so.
Yeah, good.
And these next slides just kind of go through one thing I want to do too in the last couple of years is highlight the other things that we do bring to the table that are provided. So just kind of want to go through just something real quick. So emergency management, you know, service we provide countywide with the emergency management director, so all the pre-planning for emergency mitigation issues, as well as after an event, working with team and help navigate with their city townships. Our 800 megahertz system, that's just the 911 police, law enforcement. It's also used by our public works department, city level, by transit and public health. That's just a radio system that integrates with all of our neighbors as well. After 9/11 and then even into Katrina, that's where the values are. Switching to that 800 megahertz where nationwide, you know, it's the same system that we had together and did it with. So, and then that one dispatching service is provided at the county level to all of our cities, doing all the EMS and fire and police calls. Your other pieces, K9, so we have 1 K9 at the sheriff's office, so like K9 in the county, of all of our police departments as well, so that service is available in your city as well when needed. And then, of course, as the sheriff's office, we operate the county jail, which is a statutory obligation we have to give people to courts and deliver to in front of a judge as needed, and then hold them till they're released from custody. Snow patrol, just an example of some of the equipment we have out there. We didn't use that much snowmobiles this year, but
Wait till next weekend.
we were out on the ice a little bit, well, short stint, but not very much up there. We're moving on. We have deputies that are trained in the crime scene. We have a drone team in the county as well that we operate in the sheriff's office. Same thing, provide this to all of our city partners, come in and most of that turns into being the same people. So when somebody wanders off or after an accident, or even we had a juvenile party in the middle of winter not this year, but the year before, 20 below, we brought out the drone and see where did the kids go, because they literally ran out of snowshoes on and socks on and try to track down people. So the drone's been a great asset and a lot quicker than we go to the fire department or
Yeah.
people that.
We're waiting for a state patrol helicopter, yeah.
Helicopter that just-
Was it, at the event at Cleary, talking to a drone operator, he said at that particular one you were talking about, you could see the footprints in the snow because the footprints were still warm. So that the infrared was so good that the footprints were glowing, so they could see where everybody went.
Yeah, they can see
Yeah.
it all.
It was more a fear that they're not safe, right? I mean, they all run away, granted, they thought they're in trouble. They were in trouble, but you know, but you didn't want them laying underneath the tree somewhere hiding in the freezing cold.
So that's been good, and even reenacting crime scenes and traffic crashes.
Mhm.
So that's been a great asset. Our investigations team, as well, you know, investigates crimes in the township, transfer folks, and then also for our city partners who do a lot of this. They were busy 2 weeks ago here, so there's a dedicated team there that really come together. It's the big cases come together, you know, we had a lot of legwork, a lot of hours. Let's go on the next page, get to some of the specialties we do. So electronic forensics would be, we have a civilian that works on investigations team that does cell phone extractions, computer extractions. Even if an incident happens, they may pull a surveillance system out of a house or a business and analyze, can we see what happened on that crime? Down to social media accounts and things like that we'll analyze and search. We provide that throughout the county. The crime analyst is the person behind the scenes, works their investigation, looking at crime trends, looking at, you may get a search warrant for a cell phone, and it may be this spreadsheet of thousands of records, calls, and text messages, locations. She then searches through that and can make it some legible that it shows that I want to have the crime or where it's located when they commit the crime. And then business information, that's our computer liaison, which is our information system, so our countywide law enforcement database. And operates that for us. And then lastly, just no resources here is we're at a regional SWAT team, so us in Carver County, as well as the cities of Chaska, Savage, Parley, and Shock, we're part of a tactical team that is used in the region. And their drug task force is very similar to it's us, Carver County, and then Bow County, and a bunch of cities that are like then they're working together for over 3 decades that group has. And then, lastly on that one, that community crime map, we advertise a lot. It shows up available to all public and go on and see what calls are in the community. The only thing it peels back is things that are protected by data privacy, so it might be a Google thing or a person crying, information might be, those calls won't show up, but if you wanna go see why the drug cars are down the street at the intersection, you'll see there's a crash or a traffic stop or what it was. And it can be searched and filtered and different, kind of went down. It's a good way for transparency. And then here's our volunteer group, so the SafeCom Weather Spotters, that's a group that goes out when severe weather comes through, and they will radio in what they're seeing, wind speeds, hail amounts, things like that, helps us when we should set off our sirens. And as well, that group is also used in the back end for expansion issues, so if we had flooding and need to evacuate a neighborhood or a business, they would come in and help do either registering people, helping communicate with them, helping sandbag, do a lot of that stuff like that. And then a reserve deputy unit, it's been around 50 years this year. They're the volunteers that wear uniforms like you can see. They're not licensed, they don't carry guns, but they do all of those things, behind the scenes, that parades, events, traffic control, out on patrol, even on nights, weekends with us, helping us out and giving us more power when needed. And then our mounted posse as well as our folks that have horses, they provide some of the same services, but they come forth with their own horses as well and do parades and big events and missing persons. And mental health coordinator response is our new program the county started in conjunction with Shockley Savage this past year. So we're going on a year right now of having some social workers embedded with a social worker with Shockley PD, Savage PD, and then the sheriff's office, as well as social worker in our county jail. And that one is super valuable as it helps people reintegrate back in their community when they're leaving the jail and making sure they're connected with housing, their resources, caseworkers, and sign up for insurance, all those important things. And water patrol, is on Prior Lake here soon. A little hard to get into the lakes again this spring, it looks like.
Yeah.
The landings are looking pretty rough. But we have the obligation to, patrol and enforce the lake as well as deal with drownings and accidents and things like that to investigate as our sheriff. And then the Mesnet Weather Station is another piece of our monitoring equipment. We have one in the fairground, there is a photo, and a few other ones around the community that they check for wind speeds as well and can report directly to us what's happening. So if the weather spotters haven't been activated or things like that, we have instant cue in of what's going on in our community, and same thing can alert the local communities through activating their subsequent sirens. And the last one, just more of our out and about in the community here, things we've been doing, and 98 has always been big for us, and then Public Safety Day has had its second year already, so. Just enjoying, get out with your folks and doing important things around that. And lastly, just what some of the what we got a federal grant here through appropriations this last year, and just secured a new side-by-side, so it's a 4-door. Got heat, air conditioning, it tracks, has been very valuable with this winter. We used it, I think, 2 or 3 times already. Down by the river bottoms on rescues. It has a litter mount on the back, so you can put a stretcher right onto it if somebody's injured out on the trails. So in conjunction with the fire departments, it's very helpful to get out and get in those hard to reach areas for us. Presentation.
Perfect.
Open for questions.
Yeah, council members, any questions for Sheriff Hennon or Steve?
No.
No?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. As will we.
No. I have to drive home tonight.
I know, he said that's why you were late, because you couldn't speed because there were too many deputies in between.
I did talk to Klaus Fadol recently.
Yeah?
Stories that I
Uh-huh.
believe that he told me.
Just thinking you had a drone back then.
They might have caught you when you rode your dirt bike to the high school, huh?
Yeah. It's been interesting.
Well, perfect.
We like to appreciate the partnership and
Yeah.
for the questions that you have them and bring stuff up through Kathy or the mayor and
Mhm.
to come back out and
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate the partnership and it's working great. I think, just having deputies in the community is huge. It's the public outreach and they've been all great for our communities. So, yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Be safe out there. All right, let's start into general business. General business number one, consider membership into Metro Cities. Administrator Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, Metro Cities is an organization that kind of used to be, I guess, housed kind of in the branch of the League of Minnesota Cities. They focus in on all the cities here in the 7-county metro area and represent them. It's a membership organization. They do a lot of lobbying and so forth on behalf of the metro cities. And just since new to being a city, I thought I would put it out on the agenda for council to discuss if becoming a member of the metro cities is something that the city is interested in doing. It's something we can consider now or look at it and say, look into the future and maybe in the future, but not something we're looking to do right now. We look around our surrounding communities, you know, Elko, New Market, Savage, Prior Lake, Shakopee, and Lakeville are all members of metro cities. I've reached out to an assortment of city administrators to kind of get their take value on it. And I can tell you it's probably about a 50-50 split. About half of them say it's a great value, that they focus in more on the metro area. So they are more active and focused on the metro cities needs. And they say good. And then, you know, the other 50% will look at it and say, not necessarily worth it. You're seeing more with the league than they're seeing out of metro cities. So it's a mixture and it's a mixed bag of opinions of what we're seeing. So like I said, I just put it out here for discussion. The dues on an annual basis would be, well, for 2024 would be just under $2,500, and they would do a 50% discount for the first year if we were interested in joining. So just throwing it out there for discussion, see what council thinks and if it was something that you're interested in or not.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Questions, comments, anybody?
I'm
Jay?
not interested.
You-
Nope. No.
Yeah, I think we're a solid no on that one.
Do we need a motion or not?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Only if we're gonna spend it.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. Move on to our second item of general business, and that would be approving the selection of an interim contract planner, Administrator Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you're aware, Cindy and with Collaborative Planning has provided us notice that she was going to stop working for us under her contract, and the effective date is this week. Would be her last day at the end of the 30-day notice that she provided us. I reached out to 3 firms that do planning with cities and have departments and planning departments that are well respected for the work they do with communities, and asked them to just kind of give us a short proposal for doing interim planning services. I reached out to 3 firms. It was MSA, Bolton and Mink, and WSB. They all provided me kind of short proposals back in response to it. Matt and I reviewed the proposals and did some interviews, and we have recommended moving forward with MSA. They have a good team, just energetic, looking forward to doing the work and assisting us. We feel like they would be a good fit for us. They've got some working kind of with similar communities that kind of have that rural residential feel and kind of looking in the areas that we're doing. And so we look at that and we think it would be a good fit for us, and can come in and start helping out immediately. We know we have many projects that are kind of pending right at the moment that we're going to need some help picking up on, as Matt's doing a good job with all the permitting, but he is not ready and doesn't have the capability to pick up all the bigger developmental level work that we're doing right at the moment. Hourly rates, as we look at them, is $120 for the planning service managers and $100 per hour for their project planners. So you have more depth, which will be a nice benefit. So more depth, more ability to kind of do some other things, pass things off to other employees and kind of work as a team on the planning pieces here. And just to note that it is comparable. Cindy's 2024 rate was $126 per hour, so comparable price, a little bit less than what we were paying Cindy. So we would recommend approval of MSA, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Council members, any questions, comments?
So this is an interim contract? Interim planning consultant?
We went and put it out to say as interim planning, and really is council's goals was to evaluate all of our services, city attorney, city engineer, and city planner. That had been on the list, but with the bringing on of the staff planner, we were looking at holding off the city planner until we kind of really had a good feel for what the defined need is. As we get kind of what can we do in-house, what needs to be out of house and be able to do it. So this is set up to be as an interim planner with the thought process that down the road, we would, as we figure out what that balance is, we can go out and look at going out if we, for a RFP, if we want to on that process at that time. I call it interim, but I would say that's, my thought process on it before was it was at least probably a year down the road. And I think that kind of remains at this point in time, is it's probably about a year down the road to just really fully get our feet under us and figure out what we could do in-house and kind of get all those processes put together.
So this isn't a short-term fix to replace Cindy. This is someone to replace Cindy until we hire someone on board. Cause I thought this was like we have to get someone in here right now.
Mhm.
But we're gonna go out and look for a city planner, similar to what Cindy has done for us in the past.
This is putting somebody on board that's doing what Cindy has been doing for us in the past. But we were looking to do a full RFP. That was council's kind of on the council's goal list. But we were not looking, I was not looking to bring that forward for at least probably at least a year to allow Matt time to figure out, to get his balance, figure out what staff could do with our in-house and so forth. So this is kind of still sticking with that normal, or sticking with that kind of progression and that thought process of putting kind of the interim in place to allow us to kind of see where all this flows out at the end.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I think we really need to do a full RFP in 2025 then. I think if we're making it interim, let's make sure we follow through with that and go through that full RFP process.
Did they assign someone, like we have a planner that we can call at any time, or are we gonna be handed off to one of their consultants?
No, we've got a project manager assigned, which is Claire, who's sitting in the back.
Middle.
Tonight for the meeting. And then we have a project planner who is assigned, which was Emily. So we have kind of our two dedicated assigned, or not. I mean, they're too dedicated. I mean, they have others that they're working with as well, just like Cindy had numerous other locations she was working with. But those are our two that would be working with us. And then obviously if they needed others, they may be able to bring in others that can help. But those are our two.
So Claire would attend the planning commission meetings, and she would draft the memos, the staff memos.
Correct. She would be doing basically, she would be taking over in essence what Cindy's
Do it.
Okay.
job was
And,
and what Cindy has been doing.
and this firm does that for other cities today.
Yes.
I didn't see a lot of planner stuff on their website. It looked like an engineering firm. And I just want to make sure that we're hiring a planner, not an engineer.
Yes, it is an engineering firm, just like Bolton and Mink is an engineering and WSB is an engineering firm, but they've all branched out and they have planning services as well. And all three of those organizations have planning departments that do lots of work like this in various communities.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'd take a motion to approve when somebody's ready.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jay.
Second.
Thank you, Abe. We got a motion and a second to accept an agreement with MSA for planning services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Me.
Okay, motion passes 4-1. All right, moving on to 7.3 mowing contract. Leroy, you wanted to add this one.
Oh, yeah, just wanted to ask. Mr. Reynolds, if you received a contract from our city mowers.
I received the contract and I have it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay. So 7.4, Leroy, you said something about a workshop.
I'd like to see if we get a workshop between us councilmen to talk about stuff. So. I brought it up. Mentioned it to you, Chris, a while back, and I just like to. For us five to sit down and. Talk about whatever we need, anything to talk about. Or,
So like tag it on to end of a meeting, part of a meeting,
yeah. I don't care,
okay,
or have a workshop.
I mean, workshop's still an open meeting,
I understand,
Right.
that's,
so it's really no different from a council meeting.
okay,
I mean, if there's topics that we wanna add to a council agenda, we can add topics to a council agenda. I think if you want to add something to the next meeting, I think, send those into Kathy and we can put those on the agenda.
okay. What if we just wanted, the five of us. Wanted to sit down and talk about something,
It's gonna happen in an open meeting.
right? Okay,
We can't go, off and have a private conversation.
I understand that. Okay, I'll have a list made up.
Okay. 7.5, we dropped the 3.2 from consent agenda, which was to accept the resignation of the clerk and authorize advertising for the position. Since we dropped that one, Kathy, do you want to start with that one and introduce that subject, please?
Sure, our city clerk Karen has submitted her resignation. Resignation was effective on Monday of last Monday. And so we're just, the council is the one that works with that, so it's to accept her resignation and then authorize going out for the advertising for the position. That would be advertised to fill in the same vein of what has been budgeted for, which is a part-time position that averages approximately 20 hours per week. City.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Council members, any comments or questions?
I didn't know that she resigned, I thought she was let go. In the email that I read,
The email said that we were stopping remote working.
okay. Okay,
And then she resigned. Any other questions or comments on that one? Otherwise, I'd take a motion to accept the resignation and authorize advertising for the position.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jay. Anybody ready second?
I'll second.
All right, Abe. So I've got a motion and a second to accept the resignation of the city clerk and authorize advertising for the position. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
I am.
All right, motion passes 4-1. Staff and council member reports. Kathy, do you have anything tonight?
Don't have anything additional tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Abe?
Yeah. City Administrator Reynolds and I had a conversation with BKB and Tara again. Had some preliminary numbers and first kind of pass at City Hall, Public Works, so opportunity to work this coming Thursday on the next meeting, so that, I think the goal is sometime in April to bring that to the full council.
Good.
We be happy with?
We have a ways to go. let me put it that way.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it was a first pass. It was very much.
Throw it all on the table at
We
first,
had
right?
everything we could ever want, you know, that's where we started,
Right,
so.
yeah. Okay. Thank you for the update. Leroy, anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to Karen and Cindy for all the hard work they've done for us. And all I can say is in 24 years with the township and the city, we haven't had anyone quit or resign, so I don't know what's going on. So thank you to both of them.
Okay. Thank you, Leroy. I don't have anything for tonight. Jay, do you have anything? Bill?
Nothing.
Nothing? All right,
Make a motion to adjourn.
you can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abe.
Second.
Thank you, Jay. Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening.